Most people believe that wealth is a matter of luck. They look at those who have prospered and say, "He got lucky." But that is the most comfortable explanation for those who do not want to take responsibility. Jim Rohn always taught something simple and brutally honest. The results you reap are a direct reflection of the mental structure you have built throughout your life. Luck is the name the unprepared give to the results they do not understand. Wealth does not appear out of nowhere. It is built, thought by thought, decision by decision, habit by habit. Observe closely. Two people receive the same opportunity. One grows. The other loses everything. If it were luck, the result would be the same. But it isn't. What changes is how each mind is structured to interpret, act, and persist. The common mind thinks about making money. The structured mind thinks about becoming someone capable of generating value. The common mind asks, "How much will I make from this?" The wealthy mind asks, "Who do I need to become to sustain this result?" Jim Rohn used to say, "Don't wish things were easier. Wish you were better." Most people wish for luck. Few are willing to build a mental structure strong enough to sustain prosperity. Because wealth requires internal order. It requires clarity of values. It requires emotional discipline. It requires long-term vision. And all of this begins long before the money appears. The problem is not the lack of opportunities. The problem is the misaligned, fragile, short-sighted mind. A mind without structure always sabotages success when it begins to emerge. Wins today, loses tomorrow. Rises fast, falls even faster. True wealth is not an event. It is a consequence. And if you do not organize your mind, life will continue to teach you in the hardest way possible. This video is not about money. It is about who you need to become. Because when the mind changes, destiny changes with it. All visible wealth is born from an invisible structure. Before it exists in the pocket, it must exist in the mind. Jim Rohn called this personal philosophy. Not what you know, but how you think, how you decide, how you react. The poor mind lives in disorder. It blames. It complains. It waits. The structured mind takes command. It understands that life responds to posture, not to desire. Wealth requires a solid mental architecture. And all architecture begins with foundations. The first foundation is total responsibility. As long as you believe that external factors control your results, you will remain dependent on them. The second foundation is vision. Those who do not know where they are going accept any path. And any path rarely leads to prosperity. The third foundation is daily discipline. Not extreme discipline. Constant discipline. Jim Rohn used to say that small disciplines practiced daily produce massive results over time. The common mind seeks motivation. The wealthy mind builds systems. Systems of learning. Systems of work. Systems of personal growth. Because motivation fails, structure sustains. Another crucial point, the way you handle time. The poor mind sells time. The wealthy mind builds value. The poor mind thinks about today. The wealthy mind thinks about decades. Prosperity is a long-term game played with patience and precision. And here is a difficult truth. If your mind cannot stand waiting, it cannot stand prospering. Wealth requires emotional maturity. It requires knowing how to lose without giving up. It requires knowing how to win without becoming corrupted. If you feel that you always start well but never sustain it, the problem is not luck. It is structure. And structure can be built. But it requires a conscious decision. Every mental structure manifests in habits. And habits reveal who you are becoming. Jim Rohn taught that success is not something you pursue. It is something you attract by the person you become. The wealthy mind cultivates habits that seem simple but are rare. It studies when there is no pressure. It prepares when no one is watching. It acts even without a guarantee. The poor mind waits for total security before acting, but total security never exists. Another essential habit: the control of internal language. The structured mind speaks with clarity, not with drama. It does not call itself incapable. It does not romanticize failure. It learns, adjusts, and continues. The mind without structure lives emotionally unstable. One day confident, the next defeated. Wealth requires internal stability. Another divider is the way you deal with people. The wealthy mind learns from everyone, but it does not mold itself to any opinion. It chooses influences with criteria. Jim Rohn used to say, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." It is not luck that defines your results. It is the mental environment you allow. And environment is not just external. It is internal. What you consume, what you repeat, what you tolerate. The wealthy mind does not tolerate excuses for long. It confronts its own weakness. And here is the final truth of this point. You don't need to do extraordinary things. You need to do correct things for long enough. Wealth is built in silence, in habit, in disciplined repetition. There comes a moment when the mental structure consolidates, and life begins to respond differently. Opportunities appear more frequently. Decisions become clearer. Errors decrease, not because luck has changed, but because you have changed. Jim Rohn taught that life does not get better by chance. It gets better when you get better. The structured mind understands that every challenge is training. Every delay is an adjustment. Every fall is a refinement. It does not ask, "Why did this happen to me?" It asks, "What is this teaching me?" That question changes everything. Because the mind that learns grows, and the mind that grows prospers. Wealth stops being a distant goal and becomes a natural consequence. But beware, if you abandon discipline, the structure weakens. Prosperity requires maintenance. Therefore, the wealthy mind never settles. It evolves. It refines itself. It expands. And here is the final truth. You are not late. You are under construction. What defines your future is not the luck you expect. It is the mental structure you decide to build from now on. If you make this commitment, wealth will come. Not as a miracle, but as merit. Because when the mind organizes itself, the world adjusts. Many people even manage to make money. Very few manage to keep it. And this reveals an uncomfortable truth. The problem is not in achieving wealth. It is in sustaining it. Jim Rohn used to say that you can even rise above who you are for a moment, but you will never remain above your level of personal development. When the mind is not structured, prosperity becomes a burden. The person gains but does not know how to manage. Grows but does not know how to lead. Receives more but continues to think small. And the result is predictable. They lose. Not by bad luck, but by internal inconsistency. The mind without structure enters into conflict when life begins to expand. It feels guilt for earning more than others, fear of losing, anxiety for not feeling worthy, and all of this generates self-sabotage. The structured mind understands that prosperity is responsibility. The more you receive, the more conscious you must become. Wealth requires emotional maturity. It requires impulse control. It requires strategic vision. Jim Rohn always reinforced, if you don't grow, what you have doesn't grow. That is why so many people live in repetitive cycles. They gain, they lose, they start over. Not because the world is unfair, but because they did not evolve internally at the same pace as their external results. True prosperity only stays where a compatible mental structure exists. If you want to grow definitively, you need to align who you are with what you wish to sustain. Without this, any progress will be temporary. There is a silent turning point in the life of those who prosper. It is not when the money arrives. It is when the mind stops waiting and begins to become. Jim Rohn taught that life responds to the level of identity you assume, not to the level of desire. As long as you see yourself as someone who wants to prosper, you continue waiting for ideal conditions. But when you decide to become someone structured, your posture changes. Your choices change. Your priorities change. The wealthy mind no longer asks if it is worth it. It asks what needs to be adjusted. It understands that every day is an opportunity for internal refinement, a chance to improve a habit, a decision, an attitude. Prosperity begins when you start acting like someone responsible for their own destiny, without victimhood, without excuses, without emotional dependence on immediate results. The structured mind works even when no one recognizes it, learns even when no one applauds, insists even when there are no guarantees, because it is not trying to prove anything to the world. It is building something within itself. And it is in this silence that wealth begins to approach, not as a prize, but as a logical consequence. When you become the right person, the right results find you. And this is the point where luck stops being mentioned, because it no longer makes sense. Wanting results is easy. Being capable of receiving them is rare. Most people desire prosperity but have not built the internal structure necessary to handle it. They want the effect but reject the process. Jim Rohn said that success is something you attract by the person you become. This means that before reaching the pocket, wealth tests the mind. The mind without structure enters into conflict when it begins to receive more than it is used to. It feels uncomfortable with growth, with responsibility, with exposure, and so it retreats. The structured mind understands that prospering requires internal expansion. It requires dealing with pressure. It requires taking calculated risks. It requires difficult decisions. While some ask, what if it goes wrong? The wealthy mind asks, what if I grow from this? Wealth requires emotional capacity. It requires tolerance for discomfort. It requires psychological stability. That is why many people sabotage promising opportunities. They were not ready to sustain what they were asking for. Money does not just test your technical ability. It tests your character, your discipline, your self-control. If you still lose yourself emotionally with small challenges, great results will become a burden. The wealthy mind prepares before receiving. It strengthens itself before expanding. And this preparation is invisible to the world, but decisive for destiny. Every prosperous person learned to use problems as levers, not as excuses. Jim Rohn taught that challenges do not come to destroy you. They come to develop you. The common mind sees problems as signs of bad luck. The structured mind sees them as course corrections. This difference changes everything. When something goes wrong, the mind without structure enters into chaos. It complains. It paralyzes. It gives up. The wealthy mind asks itself, what needs to be strengthened here? Problems reveal internal flaws. Lack of preparation. Lack of clarity. Lack of discipline. And all of this can be corrected. A strong mental structure transforms losses into learning, transforms errors into strategy, transforms pressure into focus. Wealth is not born from the absence of problems. It is born from the ability to deal with them without losing direction. Jim Rohn used to say, don't wish for fewer challenges. Wish for more wisdom. Every obstacle carries an instruction, but only the prepared mind can read it. If you start using your problems as training, renunciation of distractions, renunciation of unproductive habits, renunciation of old versions of oneself, the invisible price of wealth is consistency. It is doing what needs to be done even when there is no emotion involved. Many give up not because it is hard, but because it requires maturity. To prosper means to walk away from certain conversations, to change social circles, to raise the level of your own decisions. And this generates discomfort. The weak mind avoids this discomfort. The wealthy mind goes through it. Jim Rohn said that success is something you attract by becoming someone of value. And value is built in silence. There is no luck in this. There is commitment. If you are not willing to pay this internal price, prosperity will continue to seem like something distant. There is a point where discipline stops being an effort and becomes identity. Jim Rohn taught that, in the beginning, you control your habits. Later, your habits start to control you. The structured mind does not negotiate with what it has already decided. It acts naturally, not with constant internal struggle. Prosperity arises when you become coherent. What you think, what you say, what you do, all start to move in the same direction. The poor mind lives in conflict. It wants to grow but acts small. It wants to prosper but avoids responsibility. The wealthy mind resolves this conflict internally. When discipline becomes identity, decisions become simpler. Focus strengthens. Confidence grows. You no longer need to force yourself. You simply act according to who you have become. Wealth begins to flow because it finds no internal resistance. And here is the final truth of this point. You do not build wealth by trying. You build wealth by becoming. There comes a moment when there are no more doubts. You understand. You understand that it wasn't bad luck. It wasn't a lack of opportunity. It wasn't the world against you. It was structure. Jim Rohn always said that life does not get better by chance. It gets better when you get better. And now you know, wealth was never about money. It was always about who you become when no one is looking. It was about discipline when it was easier to give up. It was about clarity when confusion seemed comfortable. It was about responsibility when blame seemed tempting. You did not waste time. You were being prepared. Every error refined your perception. Every fall strengthened your mind. Every silence built maturity. Life was shaping you. And when the internal structure is complete, something changes. Decisions become simpler. Distractions lose their power. Focus becomes natural. You no longer chase. You attract. Not because you got lucky, but because you got ready. The mind now sustains what it once sabotaged. The character now protects what once escaped. The discipline now maintains what once was temporary. Wealth begins to approach because it finds no internal resistance. It recognizes order. It recognizes preparation. It recognizes structure. And from here on, there is no more rush. There is direction. There is no more comparison. There is identity. There is no more empty hope. There is conscious construction. Remember this, you are not trying to change your life. You are becoming someone who sustains a new reality. And when the mind organizes itself, the world responds. Without noise, without announcement, without luck, only result. There are moments when life does not ask for action. It asks for consciousness. Nothing needs to be said out loud. Nothing needs to be proved. When the mind quiets down, the truth appears. You realize it wasn't luck. It never was. It was invisible preparation. It was silent polishing. It was life teaching you without haste. Every wait had a purpose. Every frustration was adjusting your vision. Every delay was strengthening your base. What seemed like stagnation was internal construction. The spirit matures in silence. And when it matures, it sustains. Now, you no longer look for signs. You have become one. The mind does not run. It remains. Desire gives way to clarity. Anxiety gives way to direction. You understand that prosperity does not arrive with noise. It approaches when it finds order, when it finds alignment, when it finds peace. Life recognizes who is ready, not by what they ask, but by what they sustain. And when everything organizes from within, the external simply follows. Without effort, without haste, without luck. Only truth, silence,